first of all, explain what the Mokon is.
Well, I thought I just touched on it. It's a way.
Well, no. What is the actual koan?
Oh.
Like, what are you doing? What's the nuts and bolts of
Well,
the koan practice?
they're small stories that traditionally are said to have originated around the Tang Dynasty, 700 in the 700 ADs, by the Zen masters who it was the golden age of Zen when Zen first came to China, and I don't know, it was like I'm not sure, a couple of hundred years before that. 550, I think, was when Bodhidharma came around there, and then it flourished in China and produced a number of a great many wonderful Zen masters that were like the flowering of this new Indian Buddhism melded with the Chinese character, and it created its own special thing, its own special expression. And these masters, of course, had disciples, and they would remember or perhaps write down what their older master said and use the things that their master had said in order to teach their students. And then this was passed down from generation to generation until just there's a number of rarefied incidences that have been preserved and are used as exemplary cases in order to investigate different aspects of how we can manifest ourselves as unfixated, as without stopping, without dwelling even for a moment on a fixated self.
Okay, so it's like a really sort of ancient, you could say, precious, simple, even sophisticated tool that allows an interaction to take place between the student and the Zen master.
Yeah, I suppose that's one. But the Zen master is always there to help. But the interaction isn't necessarily dependent on the Zen master. Of course, the ideal is that you manifest it in front of the Zen master, and he or she says, "Yes, that's correct. That's how you manifest it. Correct. That was a good manifestation." Now, but what's always unspoken is now go out into the rest of the world apart from me and do the same thing.
Okay,
so it's not dependent on the teacher.
Got it. So it's actually, it's a test, kind of, almost like, where are you at? Can you manifest that in front of me in the koan, and we'll
and then go on from there. Then the next step. Then you learn the next. Perhaps another case emphasizes a different dimension to this thing. There's different. This whole process of continuous change can be looked at in steps or in different ways. There's different perspectives you can adopt in order to look at it. The activity is just one, but you can actually see it and experience it objectively from different perspectives.
And that the koan is...
And the koan makes it so that it works. All the koans work together so that from every perspective you see how it's the exact same thing.
Coming out of Sanzen practice, how do you manifest Mu in the world?
Well, as I said, it's a way of being. It's a way of connecting, right? And continuous connection.
Okay.
Or Roshi used to say, continuous relationship. We're making continuous relationship from one thing to the next. So it's like swinging from one vine to the next vine, and you can't. It's always got to. You always have to change arms. Otherwise, you just be swinging back and forth. With one, you swing with one, and then you got to reach out and start swinging with the other, and let go of the one you were swinging from before.
Okay, so you give an example of what you mean.
So you walk along the sidewalk, and you come to, and you're walking fine, and you're doing your walking practice, not stopping and continuous, and then you come to a road, a street, And you have to stop, right? My walking has to stop because why? Because a road has appeared before me, right? In this moment, and now I'm at the point where I have to deal with it directly. I have to make a relationship. I have to let go of the relationship of walking quickly and make a relationship with dealing with this road, right? So, and then you have to stop and look to make sure that there's no cars, and then you go on, and then you can then you can make a relationship with the road. First you have to look and make a relationship with both directions. Nobody coming, and then you can again begin walking again.
So I mean, it sounds like what you're saying is, now I'm just reading into it, but mostly we're in our heads, and we're thinking about the situation, and we're not connecting with the activity, whatever activity it is we're doing.
Yeah, well, I guess you could say it that. I mean, it's just being. There's two dimensions to our being. There's the dimension of diversity and the dimension of unity. In some sense, the world diversity is real, right? But in another sense, this is one cosmos, and the two of those despite all of the diversity, it's one thing, right? And then, but then, despite the fact that it's one thing, it's also divided into innumerable other things, right? And so we normally have no problem existing and living in the world of diversity, right? Because that's how we're brought up.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, you, me, and other, right? Self and other. This is this is the fundamental diversity, or that you have a self that's in the middle of left and right, up and down, inside and outside. Now, the thing is that what we normally do is we conceive of a self that's separate from inside and outside, up and down, good and bad, right? And we exist somewhere between them as a fixated state, in some fixated state. But what we learn over time, and what Sasaki Roshi especially talked about, was how that it's our left and right, our inside and outside, that actually continuously interact and give rise to a new self over and over and over again through their unification and separation, through their unification and separation. And but you have to be careful because one person's unification is another person's separation. And one person's separation is another person's unification. And so fundamentally, it's all happening. Unification, separation, expansion, contraction, they're all happening at the same time. It's only from our perspective of the self that we lay it flat in some linear sense. And so you could think of a koan of learning how to understand this one truth, this one tathagata, the thusness, from all different, from every different perspective in the realm of diversity, the realm of experiencing it directly and completely as experiencing unity. And it's very hard to put it that way because there's nobody left to experience when you're actually manifesting it. Nobody has to worry about that, but the thing is, nobody knows it's there. So we go through our entire lives not realizing that there's a space between each one of the moments that we live, and in the space between moments is that place where the last moment dies. And the next moment springs forth from it and is born, right? And we just blur it all together and completely forget that there's another half of our content that I completely are overlooking, right? And when we do that, then we're by definition get stuck in diversity, and this world of separation becomes a prison. It becomes a trap.